How do you feel about Trump saying he would consider you for vice
Oh
president?
gosh, I don't. I put that in the category of asteroids striking the Earth, good or bad. It's so far outside of my control that I'm flattered.
Yeah, it is flattering, isn't it?
For sure. But I mean, it's hard to, I've never been in politics.
Would you ever do it?
Would I accept?
Yeah,
I
if he
guess I
really
have to
asked
think
you.
about that. I mean, I spent my whole life looking at politicians and commenting on them and passing judgment on them. And I've never run for, room mother. And so the idea of that is so far from anything I've ever done. It's kind of hard even to imagine.
What do you think?
I certainly support Trump. I'll tell you that. And I can tell you, I've always agreed with Trump's policies, always. And I lost friends over it. And I've never really actively supported anybody because it's not my job to actively support people. I watch, I like to watch. But I'm a voyeur.
Yeah.
But I became an active Trump supporter when they raided Mar-a-Lago last summer, the summer of 2022. That can't stand.
No, that can't.
And
that was something.
Agree with Trump on a lot. But even if I disagreed with Trump on a lot, I'd still be a Trump supporter because you cannot allow that. You cannot allow the regime, the president of the United States, to use the Justice Department to knock the front runner out of the race. You can't do that.
No, you can't do that.
So it's bigger than Trump. It's bigger than Biden. It's a question of, do you want to live in a free country with a functioning justice system?
That's exactly
And
right.
so I'm voting for Trump. And if they convict him, I will send him the max donations and I will lead protests. That's how I feel.
That's how I feel.
Because, and by the way, if I thought that he had committed some real crime, I wouldn't feel that way, but he didn't. He and Biden are both found with classified documents at home, along with every other former high-level federal official in history. But only Trump is indicted? Like, tell me how that works. Oh, shut up.
Okay. And Biden is the one who did it illegally because he was never president when he did it.
Do you think Dick Cheney brought home any classified Iraq war documents and showed them to his wife in 2003? Yes is the answer. And the FBI didn't, put bugs in his house and didn't. Look, I spent my life in Washington. I spent 35 years there from 1985 to 2020. And my father ran a federal agency. So I know how the classification system worked and still works. And it's a lie. It's a lie.
It's a complete lie.
It's a complete lie. There are over 1 billion classified documents. So how is that a democracy? If you don't know what your government is doing and you have no right to know on the basis of totally fraudulent national security claims, it's not a democracy, right? It's an oligarchy. And I believe in democracy. I think that the people own this country. It's not owned by federal unionized bureaucrats or appointees.
No.
Or the richest people. It's not just like the 27 billionaires get to run everything. I just don't agree with that.
I don't either.
I hate it, actually. And they're not even good at it. That's the other thing. They're selfish and they're stupid and they're short-sighted and they're totally lacking wisdom. So they're not even running the country well. But even if they were, I would still be opposed to it because that's a betrayal of the core promise of America.
Yeah, that's feudalism.
Completely. But at least in feudalism, there was a symbiotic relationship between the lord and the serfs. They each needed each other.
Right.
The people who run our country do not need labor.
Yeah.
Labor has no value in America. The average person has no power, no economic power. And when you take away the promise of free elections, you don't even have political power. Your vote doesn't even matter.
No.
That's really super dark. So I'm completely opposed to it. I reject the premise of the charges. Classified. On what grounds? Oh, they're nuclear secrets. Really, which ones? They can't tell you. They're classifying a lot. Thousands of documents from the Kennedy assassination, which is now, next week, it'll be 60 years.
It's unbelievable.
November 22nd, 1963. And we're now in November of 2023. On what grounds could they be hiding that? Well, obviously to hide the CIA's complicity in the murder of the president. But there's no defensible grounds on which they can hide those documents. Don't lecture me about classification. I actually know a guy who was in charge of it. And I know a lot about this subject. It's a lie.
Yeah, I know.
And don't expect me to play along with it.
What do you think of Hillary saying Trump's Hitler? Did that curdle your blood or like it did mine?
I've never taken her very seriously. I know her also. I was at the newspaper in Arkansas in the early 90s, 30 years ago. So I know a lot about Hillary, and I don't think she's a good person. I think she would put you in a camp without thinking about it if you were in the way.
Well, she said it. Re-education.
Well, for sure. And she means it. She's got an authoritarian sensibility, but I think she's not very bright, and I think she's she's close to 80, but I think of her as like a child, and so I don't take her seriously enough to really be mad at her, but she'll say whatever. whatever she needs to say. Trump
The
is
thing
Hitler.
she does so well, though, is to project what she does
Well, it's-
onto Trump. It's like she holds up the mirror and she's like, Russia, Russia, Russia. And that's when she was selling
know.
plutonium to Russia.
I know.
She devised this whole thing with a fake dossier to frame a sitting United States president, which is, isn't that treason when you're, then use a completely corrupt FISA court with fake FISA stuff to spy on a sitting, to bring down the sitting president of the United States during wartime?
Yes.
Isn't that some sort of misprision of treason or something like that?
Of course. I mean, it's a betrayal of democratic principles, a betrayal of the Constitution. It's illegal.
And then she's sitting up there
happened
going,
for a
Trump
long
is
time.
Hitler. Hey, look what you put us through for 7 years. And that doesn't even begin to, it doesn't even begin to talk about the physical damage done to Americans.
But it's pretty revealing, though, because most people couldn't do that. I mean, all of us lie.
Yeah, that's,
but our lies, the average person, first of all, this is why polygraphs work. Polygraphs are not admissible in court, but that doesn't mean they don't work. Everybody uses polygraphs. The CIA uses polygraphs, the military uses polygraphs, big companies use polygraphs. Why? Because they work. They detect deception. And the reason they do is...
don't work on sociopaths.
Exactly. The reason they work is because normal people, even if they're liars, feel guilty when they lie, and their palms sweat, and their heart rate rises, and their temperature rises. The average person, when he lies, tells a lie that's 15 degrees off center. I'm drinking Pellegrino, but actually it's Perrier or whatever.
Yeah.
What they don't do is invert the lie.
Right.
You're drinking Perrier. I'm not.
Exactly.
That is so, the average person can't understand it. It's bewildering. It throws you off balance. It's so aggressive and deeply dishonest at the core level that you can't even relate to it.
I know.
Right? And so you think, well, holy shit, maybe it's true. I mean, why would they say it if it wasn't true?
Because that's what a normal person does.
Exactly.
When you're accused, you go, oh my God, did I do something wrong?
Totally. It's happened to me, actually.
You don't immediately go, you did.
You did. Exactly.
Right.
So it does, I think, reveal moral disease and a worldview that's so different from mine, I can't even relate to it.
Oh, you see.